91-year-old gets harassed by 3 bikers, then stands up and takes the ultimate revenge. There are some people who are bad. They are bad for no good reason, except that they like to be bad. Other people are adorable. They have wonderful stories to tell, and most of the old people are sweet and kind. Unfortunately, this sweetness and kindness often makes them the target of these bad people. There are some riders who are friendly. They work hard to take care of the less fortunate. They may seem mean, but deep down they are great people. Well, this is the story of a group of bikers who look mean and who are mean, and they think it's cool to ignore an older person. What they weren't expecting was for this classic car to get revenge on them. Paul was a 91-year-old man who decided to go to a quiet roadside restaurant for something to eat. He was minding his own business when a group of 3 cyclists entered. Paul looked up when he saw the men approaching and went back to enjoying his apple pie and coffee. He just wanted to enjoy his food in peace, but the bikers had other ideas. After exploring the place and assuming that Paul was the weakest of the group, one of the motorcyclists approached him. He didn't say a word to Paul and stubbed out his cigarette on Paul's apple pie. After doing this terribly rude thing, he sat down at a table in the far corner of Diner 2. Biker looked at Paul and went to his table. He cleared his throat and stuffed a loogie into Paul's coffee. It was incredibly disgusting, and left Paul with nothing edible or drinkable. After spitting into Paul's coffee, he went to his friend in the back of the restaurant. As the third motorcyclist approached Paul, he picked up his plate and threw it on the floor, shattering the glass. The motorcyclist laughed and joined the rest of his group. Paul kept his cool throughout this affair rather than getting angry or scared. He got up and walked to the counter. He paid for his coffee and he paid for his cake and he walked out of the restaurant. The motorcyclists nearby saw him go and burst into hysterical laughter. For some reason they found it hilarious to embarrass and humiliate someone twice their age and half their height. They felt like the kings of the world because they could spoil an old man's meal. He had never seen them in his life and he didn't bother them when they came in. However, for some reason they chose him to go after all the diners. Now, after Paul paid for his food and left, he didn't say a word to the motorcyclists. And he didn't look in their direction. He just left. At that point, the cyclists thought they had won. They felt really tough because they could chase a cute old man out of a restaurant when all he wanted to do was enjoy his cake and coffee. The waitress had seen it all and the last thing she wanted to do was take orders from the motorcyclists, because that was her job. Even though she knew she had to suck it off and get to their table before she even had a chance to ask them what they wanted to eat. One of the cyclists looked at her, smiling. He said he wasn't really a man. The busy waitress looked at the cyclist with disgust. She looked out the restaurant window and her disgusted expression turned into a very bright smile. She told the cyclists, "He's not much of a truck driver either, as he was just backing up on your 3 motorcycles." The 3 cyclists ran to the window and saw their 3 bicycles on the ground. They had been crushed by the weight of the old man's truck. Anyone who knows anything about motorcyclists understands motorcyclists love their bikes more than anything. They live for their bikes. Most motorcyclists even revere their bicycle. The biker bike is essentially an extension of that. When you hear a motorcyclist riding a bicycle, you hurt their souls. The old man in the restaurant knew, so he decided to hurt the motorcyclists where it would hurt them the most. Destroying their bikes was the sweetest revenge in the world. By the time they realized what the old man had done, he had been in his truck for quite some time. Even if they wanted to, they couldn't catch up with him. Because they had no bikes, no way to chase him because he was in a truck, the motorcyclists couldn't follow him. He knew he would go home free. Fall is the perfect example that no matter how big, bad, and tough you think you are, don't take it out on the little guy. Paul may not have injured the bikers physically, but he hurt them in an even worse way. He could only hope that this would teach these bikers that you can't just bully people, young or old. Unfortunately, they probably didn't learn a lesson after this incident. It probably made them meaner and angrier, so the moral of this story won't come down to people. You never know what they are capable of. The bikers in this story did more than upset Paul and came across as fools. They gave cyclists a bad name. Not all motorcyclists are so mean. Not all cyclists are angry. There are some very good bikers who work hard to help others. I have met many motorcyclists who are involved in clubs. They organize fundraisers to give something back to the less fortunate. Their whole family has a picnic and they welcome the public. What Paul did that day was courageous. He also showed that you can't take it out on the little man because this little man will often fight. Paul will go down in history as the 91-year-old who was harassed by 3 motorcyclists and took on them for the ultimate revenge. What would you have done if the motorcyclists had done all this to you? Tell us in the comments below and subscribe for more videos.